What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and I gotta be honest with you guys. We called a little bit of an audible today. I wanted to make a video going through the rookie draft and kind of break down rookie draft ADP, where I see the tier breaks, and then I got like a third of the way through, and I was like, all of this is going to change literally after the NFL draft. Let's just push it a week or two out. We'll talk about it once we get some rookie draft ADP. So I decided to call a little bit of a switch up here. I went over to the Discord. By the way, my Discord is free to join. There's a link down below in the description. And I said, hey, everybody, send me any trades that you've made in the last week or so involving a 2023 rookie pick. So we're going to go through 10 trades that stood out to me. I wrote down some notes, and it'll kind of give us a feel of still that strategy side of content of just what kind of moves are we making this far out from the NFL draft? What moves shouldn't we be making this far out from the NFL draft? And just my overall thoughts on the landscape right now. So with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure down below, subscribe, leave a like. Let's go.
Got the juice, I got the juice. Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home.
By the way, I don't love the new intro. I think the animation's okay. I think it's too short. I think the last one was almost 10 seconds. This one's more 5, 6. If you guys like the short one, let me know. Also, I think the days of Chance the Rapper being the intro song is coming to an end here. I'm finally getting copyright strikes on it, so we're gonna have to change the song up. I still don't know what I'm going to do. Whether I don't know. I have some local kids that rap around here that I know that made music on SoundCloud in high school. I might hit them up and be like, hey, I'd be down to put your song in. We'll see. Regardless, though, let's look at the first trade. Now, big disclaimer, all of these trades are super flex. I gotta be honest with you guys. I don't play in any one quarterback dynasty leagues, so I would just rather not even comment on them. The trade values, all that, are a little bit off. Of course, I can do the conversions and stuff, but I just like sticking to the vanilla, bread and butter, super flex dynasty league. So this first one, we have kind of a blockbuster, kind of a lot of moving parts here. And in terms of rookie picks being dealt, you have the 106 and the 107, and those are really good firsts. When we talk about first-round picks in 2023, I would say 101 through 108 are very coveted. And then once that tier break happens where pretty much right after Levis, Gibbs, I don't even know if you want to throw Addison in there or Quentin Johnston, but most people see that tier break right around the 108 spot. So 106 and 107 are in prime real estate right there. And we'll call 112 and 211 sort of junk here. So we have the 106, 107, 112, and the 211 for DK Metcalf, Judy, and the 206. Now, when we have this many moving parts here, I do like to cancel out some things. So when we look at Metcalf, I would say about market price for him would be the 107 and the 112, right? 107, you're getting in that Gibbs, Quentin Johnston, maybe Charbonnet goes to a good landing spot, and then you're adding another little plus with 112. And then I would prefer the 106 and the 211 to Judy and the 206 for sure. The 106 versus Judy, you're getting so much more upside. Across the board, I'm siding with the pick side because, again, give me the 106 and the 211 over Judy and the 206. I think I would rather, move back in the second to swap Judy for the 106. You're getting something that can be so much more valuable. The 106 could be Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs could be a second-round startup pick next offseason. Judy would have to do so much to be a second-round startup pick next offseason. And that's kind of my philosophy with deals like this is Metcalf and Judy, we sort of talked about them being these sort of sexy, big-name wide receiver 2s. They're not going to give you wide receiver 1 production. Metcalf will flirt with wide receiver 1 production, but at this point, they're both 3+ years into their careers, and you need wide receiver 1 type seasons from either of them for them to ascend and really gain value. Whereas the 106 and the 107, it would be very easy to gain value. Matter of fact, they're probably gaining value, the 106 and 107, from now through the NFL draft. Hype is ramping up. The NFL draft is around the corner. If good landing spots fall your way, right, you can get Quentin Johnston to the Chiefs. You can get Zach Charbonnet to the Bengals in the second round. That's what Dane Brugler had. So things can get better, right? Players that weren't in that top tier, getting good landing spots can push more value there. You also just have more hype, right, between now, NFL draft, and you have the rookie draft. You're on the clock. That's where all of the hype and all of the demand is going to come for those assets. So you have value gain from now until then. And then you have value gain when you use those picks. You know, you can get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. He can be a second-round starter pick next offseason. Same thing with a guy like JSN, you know, Will Levis. All of these guys can gain a lot of value, right? We've seen guys from this draft class. You have Olave's gained a ton of value. You have Garrett Wilson has gained a ton of value. Breece Hall, of course. So just by taking these rookies, you don't have to thread such a thin needle, right? It's not, you know, hoping that a year 4, year 5 wide receiver does something that they've never done before, but just a rookie goes out there and looks good. So in here, trade number 1, after a long monologue here, give me the picks. I've been burned in the past for trading premium first rounders, like 106 and 107. Those are premium first rounders. I wouldn't want to trade them for some like veteran wide receiver 2s. If I'm going to trade away the 106 and 107, I want a first round startup value. I want a elite quarterback. I want future firsts. I don't want Metcalf and Judy in the 206. That's what it comes down to for me. I think trade calculators might tell you that this is kind of an even deal, but in deals like this, I'll always side with the picks. I've been burned early on. A trade I made a while back was in 2021, I believe. So that was a Trevor Lawrence draft class. I traded 2 firsts, ended up being Najee Harris and Javonte Williams, who now are, you know, kind of like 4th, 5th round picks. But you have to remember, after their rookie seasons, both of those guys were second round startup picks. Those guys were second round startup picks last offseason. And I traded those type of assets away for Cortland Sutton, Chase Claypool, who were both, you know, like wide receiver 2s at the time in Dynasty, and a future first. Zooming way out, now that Javonte like got injured and Najee's like a 4th, 5th round pick, it's not as awful as it could have been, but a year after making that trade, I regretted that gratefully. So what I'm trying to say here, or I regretted that greatly, but what I'm trying to say is deals like this where you're giving up a ton of draft capital and it seems even on the market, I'm just saying in terms of value gain, it's a lot easier from the pick side than the veteran wide receivers. Now our next trade number 2, this one falls in a similar bucket, right? We're trading away draft capital for kind of like proven vets, but this one isn't really proven vets. You're trading away the 110 and you're getting Van Jefferson, the 204, and a 24 second. Now I think most people at face value probably take the Van Jefferson side, right? You move back from the 110 to the 204, just 6 spots. You get a 24 second, and you get Van Jefferson. And I think that that's probably a fine return. But here's why I think I take the 110 side, or I don't make this kind of move at all. First, you are trading your first rounder, right? It is a late first. It is a part of the draft that right now people are low on, right? We just talked about like 101 through 108. Those are prime real estate. 109 through 112 right now are pretty cheap. And the issue is that you're trading away your first, even though, again, it's not super, super high valued, for a bunch of low value pieces, right? You're getting the 204, a future second. Now, maybe you smash the 204 and you draft this year's like Christian Watson and you make out all right. But with that 110, I completely understand it's in the tier of the draft that not a lot of people want, but I think that I wouldn't get married to that idea because, again, between now and the NFL draft, the 110 can go up. It's rookie fever season. We could see a dream landing spot, but then we could also see guys in your leagues just make bad selections. You know, what if somebody is just a Josh Downs truther or a Zay Flowers truther, you know, and they take him at like the 109 and the 108, and all of a sudden you're at the 110 and first round Quentin Johnston is staring you in the face, or Will Levis, top 12 draft selection, is staring you in the face. There's a lot of things that can happen. Players can fall. So I think selling for the 204, 24 second and Van Jefferson, again, I think it's fine on paper, but I think you're probably selling at the absolute lowest value that you could, right? Again, we can wait till the NFL draft, rookie picks and gain value there, and then when you're on the clock, and if players fall, you can either take one of those good players or somebody can trade up and then pay the market price of, you know, say the 106 if their 106 is on the clock. You know what I mean? So that's why I would hold off on doing a deal like this. So I would prefer to hold on to late firsts, or I don't even really love the late first. You guys have seen me move off of late firsts, but if I'm going to move off of a late first, it's not a 3-for-1 deal where the 3 is Van Jefferson in 2 seconds. I would take that 110 and maybe use it to tier up, right? If you can use the 110, add it to Kyler Murray, go get Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields. If that's in the range of outcomes, I would do that. I think you could also do a trade I did recently was Garrett Wilson plus the 111 and 112 and got Jamar Chase. So I think if you can use it as a bargaining piece to go up and get an elite asset in like the first round of startup drafts, sure, go do it, but I wouldn't sell for a couple seconds in Van Jefferson. Again, I think on paper this trade is probably fine, but give me 110 side. I think that there's only room to grow for that asset. Then we have trade number 3, just kind of a similar idea here, but I think this is where I'd actually be on the side of trading away my late first. Again, if you're going to trade away your late first because it's low value right now, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to be on the quantity side, right? I would want to trade away the late first plus a bunch of pieces for an elite asset. So here you trade away your 111 and your 210 for a future first. I would put a future first in there too. If you could just add a second onto a late first to go get a future first in 2024, 100% go do that. Again, if you're going to trade away a future, or if you're going to trade away a late first in 2023, I love the idea of bundling a couple pieces and getting an elite asset, like a future first, like an elite quarterback, anything among those lines. So here, you take a late first, a late second, and you net yourself a 2024 first, which is a strong class in its own right. Now, our next trade here is trade number 4. We have pretty simple, but this one's a little more high stakes. And it's Justin Fields straight up for the 101. Give me Justin Fields here every single time. Per Dateco's ADP, the 101 is valued as around like the 111 in startups. Justin Fields is about 108. So that's just like 3 picks of startup value, right? It's nothing crazy. But the difference is that one of these assets is a running back with a short shelf life that isn't proven at all. The other is a quarterback. And we see first round of startup drafts are like 8 to 10 picks are all quarterbacks. So just give me the spot here where I can just take a quarterback. I'll lean quarterback by default. I think, honestly, any trade out there that you think is about even on the market, give me the side with a quarterback. Now, I do think that you're not going to really cash out on the 101 for Justin Fields in a lot of places, but I would still cash out on the 101 for Lamar Jackson. If I could add like maybe a second or a small piece and get into Lamar Jackson, Fields, Trevor Lawrence, I would do that. Again, I don't know that you'll get the 101 straight up for Justin Fields. I know that this guy did. Maybe you can poke around. Like, let's say you are a team that isn't ready to compete. Go out, use the 101 as bait for Lamar, Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and see what you can go out there and get. See what you have to add to the 101 to get an elite quarterback to be a cornerstone for your team for years to come. Now, trade number 5. This one's a lot to handle. This one is an absolute blockbuster. I was about to say doozy, but it's like, dude, I don't say doozy, man. But this one is tough, right? And I think that the thing that you should outline here is the 101 versus Justin Jefferson. What for you do you have to add? Let's say you are the Justin Jefferson owner. If I'm the Justin Jefferson owner, what do I need on top of the 101 to get my Jefferson? And I thought about it long and hard. Definitely wouldn't be the 101 straight up. Jefferson's similar value to Fields, right? So we just looked at that. I would put Jefferson probably somewhere like the 107, 108 area, and I would put the 101 like probably right around the 112, 201 area in a startup. And I think people are going to think that this is hefty, but I think I would need the 101, Michael Pittman, and Marquise Brown at the absolute minimum for Justin Jefferson. So if we cancel those guys out, we're looking at 205 and 206 for Josh Jacobs and Odell Beckham. Think Josh Jacobs is definitely worth more than 2 mid-seconds as like a 4th round startup pick. So give me the Jefferson side here, which is rare for me because we just talked about like usually siding with the picks part. But again, Jefferson being an elite asset here, getting Jacobs on a premium or getting Jacobs for a discount and then sort of getting rid of Marquise Brown and Michael Pittman, which I don't really value that highly. And then 205 and 206, I'm fine burning those picks if it means I get Jacobs and Jefferson on what might be a rebuilder or what might be a contender here. I'm not sure. I think trade calculators will probably disagree with me, though. I think most calculators would probably prefer the Pittman side. But when we're talking about an elite asset like Jefferson, I need my fair compensation for Jefferson to make that move. Now, our trade number 6 here is the same owner who I just said I actually didn't like the side that he got, right? So he traded for the 101 there. He traded away as Justin Jefferson, and now he turned around and got an absolute haul for the 101. I think some would say like the 105 and 108 should get you the 101, right? Like about 2 firsts. But the more I've thought about it, I'm going to need like 2.5 to 3 firsts to move off of the 101. Like I've seen people get hauls. I see people get hauls. You see screenshots of guys getting hauls. Like I said, I'm going to need 2.5 to 3 firsts to move off of Bijan Robinson. Even if you're a rebuilding team and you don't want him, I would milk it all the way until you're on the clock. I would milk it all the way until the last second that you're on the clock to get the most value you can possibly get. And even if not, you can draft Bijan and trade him later. Now, of course, value does go down a little bit once you drive it off the lot, but I'm just saying don't panic and be like, oh, I'm rebuilding, I'm going to take Bryce Young here. Don't do that. Just take Bijan. You can trade him once you have him on your team. But ideally, you trade the 101 away for 2.5 to 3 firsts in, honestly, anywhere from now through your rookie draft. But make sure you're getting good value. Now, I'm taking the 105, 108, and 109 very easily here. That's 3 firsts in 2023 for the 101. That is more than fair compensation. But I wanted to show trade number 7 here, which is a trade that I executed in one of my patron leagues. And I think this is a little bit more realistic if you want to get, your 2.5 to 3 firsts. I wouldn't do it for 2, but like 2.5. I know it's like, what the heck is 2.5 firsts? But it's like 2.5 firsts would be like 2 firsts in 2023 and like a first in the future, right? That'd be like about 2.5. So this is what I did. Instead of doing, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody that would give you 3 firsts in 2023. I think you could do 2 firsts in 2023, then a future one. But here, I did my 101 for his 106, a 24 first, and a 25 first. So I would call that about 2.5 first, right? I would call 106 1 first. I would call like a 24 first. Like you could call that, I don't know, 1 first. And you call a 2025 first like a 0.5 first, something among those lines. And I think that this is a little bit more realistic because nobody wants to pay, 3 firsts in this draft class. They'll probably want to just extend it out further. And if you're trading away the 101, you're probably a rebuilder. We've talked about this at length on the channel. But just to reiterate, if you have the 101 and you're not ready to win in 2023, you have to find a way to get fair compensation for that pick because you don't want a running back on your team. He could get hurt. His shelf life is short. He's going to score a lot of points in year 1, Bijan Robinson. And if you're not competing, you want to be competing for the 101 in 2024. So you need those points. You need that running back off your roster. And I think if you are a rebuilding team, pushing the draft capital out like this, 2024 and 2025, is the way to go. So now I have the 106. I can take a guy like Gibbs. I can take a guy like Levis. I can take a guy like JSN at 106. And now I have multiple firsts in each of the next 2 years as I'm rebuilding and trying to build up a strong team. Now our 8th trade we'll look at here is one where I think the trade calculator is going to disagree with me here. One guy sends out the 102, a 24 first, and the 206. And I know we just talked about not really wanting to trade away rookie picks for veterans, but what I did say is we want to be bundling our picks for elite assets, and that's what we're doing here. Now, give me Trevor Lawrence every single time, and here's why. And I think trade calculators are going to sort of disagree with me here. The 102, whichever QB you want in this draft class, he's your guy. The 102 is valued right now as like a mid to late second in startups. Trevor Lawrence is about the 107, and if you try to start a startup to move up from your late second to go up and get Trevor Lawrence in the first round, I don't think a 24 first and a second in 2023 gets you there. Moving from that second round, so you give him a second round startup pick, a 24 first, and a 23 second. I don't think that gets you from late second startup pick to the middle of the first round. I've seen people pay like as much as like 2, 3, 4 to get into the first round of a startup to take, double tap 2 elite quarterbacks in the top 8. So I think that you're getting a really, really nice price here. Again, I don't really like trading future firsts, but I'll take on a leverage deal like this. Like a leverage deal, Scott Connor talks about it all the time. He's really good. Leverage deals are pretty much like, if you trade somebody, say Josh Jacobs, and you get a 24 first and Damian Harris in return. You have a heads-up bet between Damian Harris and Josh Jacobs. Damian Harris maybe has like a 25% chance to outscore Josh Jacobs, but then you also get the added out of your 24 first where you can just hit big on your 24 first and win the trade regardless. So those are the kind of deals you want to be making, and you're on the opposite side here because you have the 102, which is, your QB1 in 2023, plus a 24 first, plus a second for Trevor Lawrence. So the other owner that's not getting Lawrence here has a lot of outs to his bet. If the 102 is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, boom, he wins this trade. If the 24 first ends up being Caleb Williams because you suck, probably wins this trade. So he has a lot of outs to sort of win, but you're getting a really proven asset in Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be a top 8 pick in startups for, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Who knows how long. And elite quarterbacks are so hard to come by that if I only have to add a future first and a mid-second on top of rookie QB1 in 2023, I would do that all day long. Now, next up, we have trade number 9. And this one is kind of fun because it's sort of topical with all of the Brock Purdy and Trey Lance stuff where you have the Purdy drama where it's like now, okay, his arm's going to be okay for week 1. You have Trey Lance, might get traded to the Vikings, might get traded to the Texans. Then you have Kyle Shanahan coming out and saying that none of this is true. Like, we like Trey Lance. It's fun to see you guys make stories in the media. So there's a lot going on right now, a lot of buzz with the 49ers, and that's probably driving up Purdy's value a little bit. I think he's a decent sell-high candidate here with sort of good reviews here. And this trade is Brock Purdy for the 112 straight up. I'll take the 112 here. I think it's very close. I'm fine cashing out on, Mr. Irrelevant quarterback. 112 is decent value here. You're probably buying low on a draft pick as well because, again, late first are their absolute lowest right now. So I don't really mind buying them because, again, when you're on the clock, there could be a stud there that just falls because your league mates are dumb. League mates do dumb things a lot of the time. Or landing spots go our way and the 112 becomes somewhat valuable. Now, some might say, Brock Purdy was producing like 18 points per game last year. Why would you trade that away? Well, just he doesn't have a lot of security. You're trading him, at like decent value. Like if you have Brock Purdy on your team, you maybe picked him up off of waivers. So getting a first is nice. But here's what I'll say. I think if I was to sell Brock Purdy, it wouldn't be for the 112 straight up. I think I would want to add to Brock Purdy and get something better. Like if I could add a second to Brock Purdy and get a 24 first, just a random 24 first, I would love that. If I could add a second to Brock Purdy instead of a 112, get like a 108, 107, 109, I think I would rather do those. So again, I think 112 Brock Purdy is about even. If you don't need the quarterback points and you want to just kind of cash out on a guy you probably got for free, I think 112 is fine. But I also think this is an instance where Purdy's value is a late first, but I would just add some to him to either get a mid first in 2023 or a random 24 first. Now, our last trade here is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is just too cheap. Now, I've actually sold Kyler Murray recently because Kyler Murray, he's interesting. He's too cheap right now. But if you are a contending team that wants to score points in 2023, you probably want to get Kyler off your roster. Like, you probably want to move Kyler in a piece and just get a quarterback that can replace his production. It just makes a little bit more sense there, especially in leagues that I play in. People value Kyler a little bit more than this. But I think in most casual leagues or just general Reddit leagues, I think that he's kind of getting valued as like an early third in startups right now. I've seen him go at like the 304 before in startups recently. So if you could buy for a 24 first in the 107 all day, especially if you're a rebuilder. Like I would only buy Kyler from a rebuilding team, but let's say you have no chance in 2023. You trade for Kyler Murray. You go get Kyler Murray. He probably doesn't score points in 2023 if he does it at the end of the season. I've talked about this before, but I mean, if the Cardinals come out here and they're like 0-8 through 8 weeks, like they might just shut down Kyler for the rest of the year, So you're waiting for 2024 anyways. But this is a guy who, as a rookie, was like over 18 points per game. He has a career average over 20 points per game. He has never finished outside of the top 12 quarterbacks in points per game. He is a very good bet. He will be 27 years old once 2024 comes around, and you have a guy who is going to go from like an early third in startups to, by the time we're sitting here next year, should probably be like a late round or a late first rounder in startups, just given what we know about the quarterback position. So when you can go out there and pay the 107 in a future first, that probably doesn't even really get you to, that's probably like borderline value for the 102 at this point. So I think 24 first and 107 to get the Kyler really isn't that difficult. Now, if you are a rebuilder, you probably don't want to give up that 24 first, but I'm just saying, like equivalent. But I wouldn't mind giving up like 107 and 108 for Kyler if I'm a team that isn't going to win in 2023. I would just sort of get creative, see what you can do to go out there and get Kyler. I think he's going for a little bit too cheap right now. And if I was a rebuilding team, I would want to scoop up that discount. Now, that is going to do it for us today. Don't have anything to plug besides a Discord. That was like the first time that I've kind of like called on the Discord to help out with a video. So if you want to go in there and have your trade featured in one of these videos, maybe I'll do another one after the draft. Maybe I'll ask for rookie draft pick trades that people did on the clock. I think that could be a fun video. So if you want access to that, like we have a bunch of channels in there where I have like a find a league channel. I've heard people say that they're looking for a place to join Dynasty leagues. You can join my Discord. There's Dynasty leagues going on in there. People are trying to fill orphans leagues all the time. There's like Dynasty chats. There's polls where you can get your trades looked at by other guys in there. Most people as well that are in that Discord watch this channel, And I would like to say that we're a pretty sharp community. So there's a lot of really, really sharp guys in there. There's a lot of guys in there that are in patron leagues that I play with. And there's like a couple of names that I have jotted down in my memory of like, okay, when they send me a trade, like I know I'm not going to really get any discounts here. Some of these guys in the Discord, they mean business. They're good at what they do. You'll be in good hands if you join. It's in the description down below. It's completely free. You can join in there and join one of the sharpest communities in the fantasy space. Now, that is going to do it for us today. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I will see y'all in the next one.
I got the juice, I got the juice. Channel, Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoenaed for misdemeanors. Dreamer, held back asses, Loki still a zen. And I still shake a boat squat.